Imagine you're trying to push a car up a hill. Not just any car, but a heavy, rusty, old sedan that has its parking brake stuck on. You are sweating, your legs are burning, and you are shoving this thing with every ounce of strength you have. And for the first 10 minutes, it barely moves an inch. You look down at your feet, you look at the progress, and you think, this is impossible. I am putting in maximum effort for zero results. That is exactly what saving your first $50,000 feels like. It feels like you're screaming into the void. You deny yourself the lattes, you skip the expensive dinners, you drive the old car, and at the end of the month, your savings account looks basically the same. It is demoralizing, it is boring, and frankly, it's the reason why 90% of people quit and just accept being broke forever. But here's the thing that nobody tells you. Once you get that car to the top of the hill, something weird happens. You take the parking brake off. Gravity kicks in. Suddenly, you aren't pushing the car anymore. The car is pulling you. The math of your money changes completely after you hit this specific number. And today, I'm going to show you why the first $50,000 is a grind, but the next $500,000 is inevitable. My name is Nash, and I spend way too much time thinking about the math behind financial freedom so you don't have to. If you're someone who feels like you're working hard but your bank account isn't moving, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Let's break the math. Now look, I get it. $50,000 sounds like a massive number, especially if you're sitting there with $500 or $1,000 in your account right now. It feels like climbing Everest without oxygen. But there is a very specific reason why it feels so hard, and it's not because you're bad with money. It's because of how the math of compounding actually works. In the beginning, your money is lazy. It's sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing. When you have $1,000 invested, even if the market has an incredible year and goes up 10%, you made $100. That's a nice dinner. It's not life-changing. It's not paying your rent. You did 100% of the work to earn that $1,000, and your money did almost zero work to grow it. This is what Charlie Munger, the late right-hand man to Warren Buffett, famously called the BH of the first 100K. He said, "It's a bitch, but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on that first $100,000. Now, adjusted for inflation, that number is scary high, so let's stick to $50,000 because the math principle is exactly the same. Here's what most people don't realize. When you are starting out, your human capital, which is just a fancy word for your ability to go to work and trade your time for a paycheck, is the only engine driving your wealth. You are the engine. If you stop working, the money stops growing. That is a terrifying place to be. But let's run the numbers. Let's say you can manage to save $10,000 a year. That's about $833 a month. I know, that's tough, but stay with me. To get to your first $50,000, assuming a decent 7% return, it's going to take you roughly 4.3 years. Over 4 years of grinding, 4 years of saying no to trips, 4 years of driving that clunker, and here's the kick in the teeth. Out of that $50,000 balance, about $43,000 of it came from your own pocket. Only about $7,000 came from interest. You did 86% of the heavy lifting. That is why it feels so hard. You are carrying the entire load on your back. But this is where it gets interesting. Once you cross that $50,000 line, the physics of your money starts to shift. You now have a little army of dollar bills, 50,000 of them, working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't call in sick, they don't take vacations, and they don't ask for raises. Let's keep saving that same $10,000 a year. To get from $50,000 to $100,000, it doesn't take another 4.3 years. It takes about 3.5 years. Okay, Nash, you saved a few months. Big deal. Wait, watch what happens next. To go from 100K to 150K, 2.9 years. To go from 200K to 250K, 2.1 years. By the time you have $300,000 invested, your money is generating more growth in a good market year than you are contributing from your salary. That is the crossover point. That is the moment where you could theoretically stop saving entirely, and your portfolio would eventually grow to $1 million all by itself. So the first $50,000 is harder than the next $500,000 because in the beginning, you're fighting against the wind. In the second half, you're sailing with the wind at your back. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Nash, the math is cool, but I live in the real world. Rent is expensive, eggs cost a fortune, and I can barely save $100 a month, let alone $800. And you're right, the system is designed to keep you at zero. Every advertisement, every Instagram post, every buy now, pay later button is engineered by teams of psychologists to make sure you separate yourself from your money before it has a chance to grow. This brings me to the trap of the middle. The hardest part about the first $50,000 isn't actually the saving, it's the psychology, it's the boredom. We are wired for instant gratification. We want the dopamine hit of a new phone or a new car now. The idea of putting money into an account that you can't touch for 30 years feels unnatural. It feels painful. And here's the shocking loophole that keeps people poor: Parkinson's law. This law states that work expands to fill the time available. In finance, it translates to spending expands to match your income. You get a promotion, you buy a nicer apartment. You get a bonus, you upgrade the car. Most people think their problem is income. It's not. I know people making $250,000 a year who are broke, and I know people making $60,000 who are building wealth. The difference is that the second group refuse to upgrade their lifestyle until they hit that first $50,000 milestone. So how do we actually do this? How do we cheat the system and get through this suck phase as fast as possible? First, you have to get angry. I'm serious. You have to look at your debt, look at your lack of savings, and get genuinely frustrated. Passive people don't build wealth. You have to decide that you are done being a battery for the corporate machine. You need to treat that first $50,000 not as a savings goal, but as a survival fund. It is your freedom papers. Second, you need to understand the concept of velocity. Since the math is against you in the beginning, you cannot rely on passive returns. You need brute force. This is the only time in your financial life where hustle matters more than smarts. Pick up extra hours, sell the stuff in your garage, cancel the subscriptions you don't use. It sounds cliche, but remember, you only have to do this aggressively until you hit the milestone. You're not signing up to live like a monk forever. You're signing up to sprint for a short period so you can walk for the rest of your life. I bet you didn't know this affects your wallet, but the biggest enemy you have right now is your ego. The reason most people don't save that first $50,000 is because they're too busy trying to look like they already have it. They lease the BMW to look rich, which guarantees they will never actually be rich. Real wealth is silent. It's the money you didn't spend. It's the car you didn't buy. It's the clothes you didn't upgrade. If you can suppress your ego for just 3 to 5 years, you break the gravitational pull of poverty. You get to the top of that hill. And once you're there, the view is incredible. You realize that money is no longer a source of stress. It's a tool. So here's my challenge to you. Stop looking at the finish line of $1 million. It's too far away. It's depressing. Focus entirely on the first $50,000. Put it on a sticky note on your monitor. Make it your phone background. Obsess over it. Because once you get there, the math takes over. The hard part is done. The heavy lifting is over. If you are currently in the grind, pushing that heavy car up the hill, let me know in the comments. What is the one expense you are cutting to get there faster? I read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to master your money instead of letting it master you. I'm Nash, and I'll see you in the next one.